Hi guys, and welcome to my review of the new Catfish and the Bottlemen album, The Balance. The Balance is the third album from the Welsh indie rock band, and I personally have really enjoyed their previous two albums. Their debut, The Balcony, was a crisp, catchy, and incredibly glossy album full of huge sing-alongs that were basically instantly destined to become festival hits. They followed it up with 2016's The Ride, an album which at first I was very mixed on, but it's one that really grew on me over time. Although looking back at it in 2019, although there's a little bit more of a Britpop edge to it, the album is basically the exact same as their debut. It doesn't really do anything unique or interesting at all compared to that one. And coming into their third album, they've basically done the exact same album again. It follows the exact same formula as those previous two albums, with the huge choruses, atmospheric guitar lines, and pretty cliche lyrics. But the difference here is that the formula is even more tired than ever before, especially now that pretty much every single UK indie rock band are trying to capture the success of Catfish. It's a formula that's lost any of the excitement that it once had, not just because of the long line of imitators, but also because Catfish have basically run this formula into the ground themselves as well. And the fact that they follow these cliches and formulas so much isn't helped by the fact that on this album it feels like the band didn't want to push themselves or do anything different or exciting at all. This album very much feels like the band are doing everything by the numbers and just ticking off every single checkbox that they have. The album does start off strong with the singles Longshot and Fluctuate, which may not be anything new or unique, but they do the formula really well and are two incredibly fun and catchy sing-along indie songs. Longshot is definitely much more restrained than the normal Catfish song. It is very catchy nonetheless, but it doesn't pack the punch that choruses to songs like Kathleen or Seven had. Not to mention the instrumentation in this song is all pretty boring and lackluster. It's only really the melodies, especially in the chorus and the bridge, that really elevates this song above the rest of the album. And then you get the second track, Fluctuate, which is by far one of my favourite songs of the year so far. It's one that I've basically just listened to on repeat. It doesn't do anything different with the formula. It basically does the exact same thing that you'd expect from a Catfish song, but it's a lot more aggressive and abrasive than ever before. It's definitely way larger than Longshot and has a heavily distorted tone, especially in the bass work, which is definitely an interesting thing to hear from the band and something that hopefully they follow a little bit more in their next album. Of course, the structure of the song is far from anything unique. It follows that very basic, quiet, loud dynamic, but it works well due to Van McCann's vocal delivery, which I think is really captivating on this song, and the incredibly catchy hook and verses on the thing. After this song ends, however, we basically just get a collection of songs which just repeat the same thing over and over and over until the album eventually ends. There are definitely a couple songs on the album after this that I do enjoy, and there are a few moments on the album that are decent, like there's a catchy melody here and there or a chorus which is alright. But for the most part, this is basically just the same bland, run-of-the-mill song over and over and over again. The song Sidetrack has a really sugary and sweet clean guitar line which plays throughout the verses, which I think sounds really cool and nice. Then it goes to this explosive chorus which has the feel of racing down the motorway in the sun. It's one of the few songs that follow the basic formula of all the other songs of the album, but actually kind of does something different, and it actually kind of feels like the band had some sort of vision for this song as well. And then the album doesn't really have anything noteworthy at all until we get to the song Mission, which is very similar to Fluctuate in tone. It has a very abrasive sound and heavy usage of minor chords and melodies. I do really like the huge switch in tempo between the verse and the chorus, however the transition between them is so jagged and flat out terrible. The song ends up feeling like 2 or 3 different songs stitched together incredibly lazily. Although the parts that they use on the song are really good, the stitch work is so amateurish and lazy. The only other song I really liked on the album was the final track, Overlap, which starts off almost somber and tender before exploding into their normal huge sound. Although comparing this song to the closing tracks of their previous two albums, it really doesn't hold a candle to them at all. What made Tyrants and Outside so great is that they were way more explosive and triumphant than anything on their albums, whereas Overlap just kind of sounds like every other song on this album. To the point that when that abrupt ending that they have on every single one of their albums came, I didn't even realise that I was anywhere near the end of the album, because the tone was literally the exact same as basically every other song. The biggest problem with this album isn't that it just recycles the formula of the previous two albums, it's that it recycles it in the laziest way possible. There were very few songs that I felt were actually justified on this album, and very few that ended up sticking out and being memorable in any way. And say what you will about how similar the first two albums are to each other and how cliche and formulaic they were, at least they had some really catchy standout songs. Even a lot of the big hooks on these songs don't have that festival sing-along potential that I found with their previous albums. Although Longshot and Fluctuate are obviously going to be big hits that everyone sings along to at their huge gigs and at festivals, the rest of the songs on the album kind of seem like those songs where when they start playing, everyone's going to get bored and go and get another drink instead of listening to them. Although I've definitely heard worse albums that follow this basic formula, I've also heard so much better, including from this band themselves. It's a forgettable, cliche collection of averageness, which I will probably forget even came out by the end of the year. So I'm going to give the new Catfish and the Bottlemen album, The Balance, a 4.5 out of 10. Hi guys, thanks for watching my review of the new Catfish and the Bottlemen album. Hopefully you enjoyed this review, and if you liked the album or hated it as much as I didn't like it, let me know in the comments section below. It'll be interesting to see what other people think, because so far I've pretty much been hearing the exact same thing as I've just said in this review from everyone. Thanks for watching guys, and I will see you next time.